first.
And I will happily delay that. The next item is United Way. So we'll give it 1 second here. Bridget, are we live right now?
We are.
Okay. So I will call to order this virtual staff meeting of the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners, September 22nd, 2020. We've got a lot of items on our agenda today. The first deals with the Safe Reopening campaign related to the Convention and Visitors Bureau and that industry. And so Brendan Call has joined us, and I believe Julie Calvert is also going to join us. So Brendan, are you comfortable moving ahead without Julie, or would you prefer that we go to the next item and wait?
Why don't we do the next item? I feel like I'd really love to have Julie here. She's a big part of this and a big part of the county.
That sounds great. All right, we're going to move then to item number 2. It's the United Way COVID-19 Care Coordination. And we've got a number of folks on. I see Chandra. Is Moira on?
You know what? She is on another call. It's our campaign season. She was going to try to hop on, but I am waiting for Mike Baker.
Okay.
And he is trying to jump on right now. So if you have other people that I prefer to come back to us as
Commissioners, we just got Julie Calvert on, so we could start with.
All right, we're going to go back to item number 1. All right, so welcome, Julie. We're just starting our meeting, so I'm glad you're here. Yeah, so you are first on the agenda. So please, we are very interested and have already invested in this effort to kind of open back up when appropriate some of the convention and visitor related activity. And so we appreciate you and Brendan being on to provide us with an update.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Driehaus, and also want to say hello to Commissioner Dumas and Commissioner Victoria Parks. Good to see you. And also Jeff Valuto, County Administrator. Good to see you as well.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. So first of all, I want to thank you to the County Commission for your ongoing support of the CVB. It was back in June, the last time we were together, and you were able to, provide some advance on the bed tax for us. To your point, Commissioner Driehaus, to get restarted at the CVB. And I'm happy to report that those activities have started. We now have 7 employees back at the CVB. We're seeing just a very slight uptick in the numbers of RFPs that are coming in for future business. And we're looking at really 22 and beyond at this point for convention business. We've spent the better part of 2020 rebooking business that we've lost. I can tell you that the damage and the decimation that continues to occur to the hospitality and the travel industry as a result of COVID-19 really is not showing signs of letting up in earnest, but we are, like I said, seeing some bright spots in terms of RFPs and some leisure tourism that happened during the summer. If I could just give you quickly before we get into this, just an update on where we are in terms of convention business. Since March of 2020, we've had 155 groups that have canceled their conventions in Cincinnati and Hamilton County. That also includes Sharonville. We've lost 126,000 room nights. It would have been 165,000 attendees across the county. And what that means in terms of numbers, 60 million in direct sales impact, which is directly money that would go into the hotels and then would spur the tax as a result of that. And that goes up to 95 million when you look at the businesses that are impacted, like restaurants and retail and transportation, that are not able to benefit from the convention business being in Hamilton County. So certainly those numbers are staggering in terms of what we're seeing in the industry, and certainly locally. We've never had anything like this before. And it was really around the 6th of March where we saw that big drop off in terms of the occupancy. And it's sort of been, we were hoping it would be like a V, right? But what it's been is sort of like this slow little curve that goes up and down depending on the case numbers. We did see increased occupancies in the hotels over the Memorial Day weekend compared to what it had been. It was a little slower around the 4th of July because, of course, that's when those numbers were spiking and peaking because we think of some of the activities that might have happened over the Memorial Day weekend. And I'm happy to report that over the Labor Day weekend, we saw hotel occupancies at 64%, which is a high, for the year. A lot of that is staycation. A lot of that is, folks that did not take their summer vacations this year throughout the summer, choosing to stay in Cincinnati and Hamilton County and enjoy all of the things that we have to enjoy here. In Hamilton County, we're hovering around 38% occupancy, which is, during the summer months, it's our highest occupancy. And for comparison, last year at this time, our occupancies were 89% in the county. We're about 26% in downtown Cincinnati. And that's, again, those are aggregate numbers, so we look at them on a weekly basis. But on any given day in downtown Cincinnati, there might be the occupancy somewhere between 10 and 13%. So it's we're a business transient market. We depend a lot on business travel, convention travel to fill those hotels Monday through Thursday. And of course, leisure on the weekends. And, the perfect confluence of storm has occurred where we don't have any of those things to lie back on at this point. So, I'll stop there for a second in case there's questions, but then I think that's a nice segue into what we want to try to do to spur some activity, for the hospitality industry and the small businesses, minority-owned businesses around Hamilton County.
Thank you. I neglected to welcome Anastasia, so
Yeah,
I apologize for that. And now she's frozen on my screen. So, there we go. So welcome. Is it Mileham?
Milam.
I'm sorry, I mispronounced it. All right, so welcome. I didn't mean to neglect you. So commissioners, happy to have Julie continue forward, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Madam President. No questions about that, just interested in your strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think that is a good segue.
Hold on. Commissioner Parks?
The numbers are really low, but what I'm encouraged about is that in our town is that we have annual events, in the summer that will come back. Things like the music fest, things like our, the concerts and those kind of things. And so that gives, so I'm encouraged about it. Even though it's down, we have things that occur on an annual basis that will bring these numbers back.
Yeah, thank you. And Julie, can you remind us what percentage of those hotel stays, generally speaking, are related to business travel versus convention versus just leisure? Kind of break that down for us.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of business transient, that's our highest. Yeah, that's the highest. That's around, it's about 58% is business transient. Then, of course, the convention business and the leisure on top of that. And it fluctuates because summertime, obviously, in our peak season, which is May through September, those numbers tend to be a little closer to the business transient and certainly because of the Reds are a huge driver of room nights for leisure. But of course, they played, but there were no fans in the stand. The convention business, our peak season for convention business, starts in April, and goes through October. So, all of those things, working together, keep those occupancies high, keep the tax dollars flowing, keep people employed, keep the businesses open. And, there isn't any destination, in the United States right now that isn't feeling a negative impact, from this. Even the coastal destinations are seeing, trouble with what's going on. So, I think, the phrase of 2020 is probably close to something like we are really in this together, which, doesn't make you feel any better, when you're going through it, but at least, you're not alone, in doing it. And so, I talk to my counterparts across the nation on a daily basis, and they're, doing the same things, trying to, restart travel. And, for us, while we're not seeing, the influx of outer market visitors coming in right now, what we want to do is pivot a little bit and turn that towards our residents locally to try to get them to rediscover what's great about their town. And we also believe that there's, and I'm going to turn over to Brendan in just a second, but that there's a good percentage of Hamilton County residents that don't really know the safety and the security and the health measures that have been taken to the extreme in all of our attractions, our restaurants, our hotels, our small businesses, to make sure that we're putting in mitigating factors to ensure their safety as much as we possibly can. And so whether it's time ticketing at the zoo, the art museum, or the Cincinnati Museum Center, or the safely distanced tables at the restaurants and what's kind of happening there. So we want to use this as an opportunity to really focus, primarily on our local residents, to get them to rediscover local. And that's really what we're talking about here. So, this is a partnership between our organization, the Chamber, Source Cincinnati, and ArtsWave, and certainly Hamilton County. So what I'll do is turn it over to Brendan to walk through, sort of the parameters and the guidelines of the campaign. And I believe that Jeff Aludo has spoken. When we were together back in June, there was money set aside from the CARES Act for this type of activity specifically. And this is different than the money that was provided to the CVB for operations. This money goes into marketing.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Julie, you were saying rediscover local. Is that your new branding measure you're going to use? Or?
We're going to work with a local agency, and a few others, to come up with what that branding really is. That's just for me today.
Okay.
Actually talking amongst ourselves just to kind of set the mind in the right place, for what we want to do. But certainly the focus is local.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. And commissioners, thanks for the time to be here today. We're also delighted to be working in partnership with you on this. As you know, we have been communicating quite a bit over the last 6 months, thanks in large part to the support that you've given to the Regional COVID Communication Center. Many of you know Regina Carswell-Russo, who has been communicating about all of the things that companies and organizations are doing to keep people healthy and safe, and making sure that we're getting information out about the Masks On campaign. All of the work that you have done to push that forward has really helped us keep the numbers low where they are and keep us in a place where we can begin to have things open safely and consistently. So that has undergirded where we are right now. And to get to this point right now where we have small businesses who, really this conversation for us started as I was talking to a few restaurants who said, we're open. We've completely changed the way that we are operating. We have everybody in masks. We're doing everything differently. We've changed the way we're serving tables, and we need to tell people that because we want people to come back. We know that we can do it safely, and we want to make sure that people understand everything that we've done to be able to get open and keep people safe. Another great example is an art museum that had timed entry for everything that they're doing. People, I think, in Hamilton County think some of this is still closed. And our arts organizations, our hotels, our restaurants, our cultural organizations, they have gone above and beyond in a way that our community should really be proud of, demonstrating the resilience that we have as a community, as a county, to get back open. And part of this is about making sure that we support them to tell that story. So really, we've been looking at this as Julie and Anastasia and I have been talking about this. And Julie mentioned in partnership with Source and the CVB and the Chamber and ArtsWave and 3CDC and other organizations that are promoting, trying to get people back. This is really an economic stimulus. This is about helping small businesses and entrepreneurs and our arts and cultural organizations who have been struggling through a pandemic to keep their doors open, make sure that people know that they can do things safely. And so those are the themes that we're going to stress with this. Julie mentioned that we'll be working with an agency in town that does this kind of work, both the creative development of what a campaign would look like, but then also making sure that there is robust both paid media, earned media, online and digital support. So basically think of a robust attempt to tell people in Hamilton County that this is what's open. This is how throughout the next quarter you can support local businesses, local arts and cultural activities, local minority-owned businesses, business districts throughout the county, and help keep them thriving through what I think will be a tough quarter during this pandemic. So really, we've been seeing this in two ways. This is about making sure that people understand that during a time where our lives have completely changed, You can be a tourist in your own hometown. You can experience things locally here and discover parts of Hamilton County that you may not have known existed. And you can take care of your neighbors by supporting their businesses, by keeping their doors open, and by making sure that employees can continue to go to work every day at the restaurants and at the arts and cultural organizations and at the attractions that this community has to offer. So we envision this being really robust. We envision it being representative of the entire county. This is not about just getting people to go to one part of town. It's about recognizing that people in Blue Ash should get out and see things that are going on in Anderson, and people in Harrison should take a trip downtown, or vice versa, because there's so much all throughout our county. So our hope is that we can lift that up and then help our neighbors get through a trying quarter over the next few months and really celebrate all that we have here locally.
Great, thank you. So I'm wondering if we're going to hear from Anastasia now?
You know, I froze a little while earlier, so I don't know if Julie made an introduction or not, but I'm the executive director of Source Cincinnati, and it is the only area organization that's focused solely on raising the Cincinnati region's reputation on a national stage through national media placements. So I work to tell stories about not just travel and tourism in Cincinnati and, you know, the food and the restaurant and the arts and cultural scene, but also stories from our business community and investment in by Sam Adams, or the Issue 7 transportation bill that just passed this past spring. So to take these stories from the Cincinnati region and tell them through Forbes and Inc. and Entrepreneur Magazine. We had some great stories about the Minority Business Accelerator this summer. But to keep Cincinnati in the national news as top of mind when business leaders and tourists and travelers and talent, convention and meeting planners think about where they want to be, Cincinnati is in there as a top city that they consider going to. So I've been working with this crew, obviously through the whole pandemic. On interestingly, we have been blown away this year compared to others, despite of or because of the pandemic, and the resiliency of this region and the things that we've done to keep Cincinnati alive and to keep businesses alive and pass transportation bills. I don't know if I have frozen again. I appear to be.
We can still hear.
So we're noticing is travel.
Oh no! As soon as I said it. Uh-oh, did she pop off?
Yeah, it looks like she's back.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go. Okay.
Well, obviously the travel and tourism industry took a huge hit, as Julie alluded to earlier. And on the travel journalist side, the same thing happened. Travel journalists moved into, you know, COVID related stories and away from travel and tourism. But we're just starting to see that come back. Journalists want to come to Cincinnati. They want to write about our region. So not just a local campaign, but I think from an earned effort, we'll also speak to those drive markets and to those other journalists who want to write about the Midwest and traveling to the Midwest.
Okay, great.
I might maybe jump in, if Commissioner, if you would, one other point. I want to make sure that everyone understands that this is really about making sure that the hardest hit parts of our industries in our county see some increase in uptick in business over the next quarter, and that they do it safely. The story to tell here over and over and over again is this is what these organizations have done to keep people safe and healthy. That does two things. One, it gives people confidence that they can go out and experience the county and support small businesses. And it gives people confidence that we're continuing to focus on reducing the spread of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. If we do those two things together, we're going to lift up the economy in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. So I just have a couple of questions, and then I will turn it over to my colleagues. The one is about the timing of the effort and when you expect to launch a campaign so that, you know, the three of us especially can amplify the work that you're doing.
So I can speak. We just met on Friday afternoon to kind of run through everything Brendan was just describing with an agency that we'd like to put the creative campaign together, figure out what those markets are and what those buys look like. And so their team is working fast and furiously to have to us a scope of work and a timeline by the end of this week. But what we anticipate is that we will spend the next couple of weeks developing the campaign with a launch in late October for late October, November, December.
Okay, great. And could you help us better understand how this interfaces with the directives from the governor? Julie, I think you're on one of his task force. And so, you know, a lot of the mandates related to opening and processes and procedures are related to, as Brendan said, public health, but the governor has a lot of control here. So how is it going there, and how do we continue to be nimble in Hamilton County related to what the governor's directives are?
Yeah, I'll try to answer that, Commissioner Driehaus. The bottom line is we're going to follow the guidelines that the governor's put together, and you're correct in that I did chair his task force on reopening travel and tourism safely. And so in terms of what's happening at the venues themselves, the social distancing, the mass gatherings, the percentage of space that people can operate in, you know, all those guidelines will be followed. You know, we're not talking about, you know, welcoming, not yet anyway, but, you know, 4,000 person convention or anything like that, launching any mass festivals. This is about driving people into the business, whether it's the restaurant, the hotel, the retail outlet, in a way that it conforms with the governor's directives on how many people can be in a store of this size at one, you know, or a restaurant at this size at this time. So we're not going to work outside of those. We'll certainly work within them. And a lot of that is up to the venues control that themselves, because, you know, at a restaurant, they know, you know, the restaurant group, you know, they didn't go on, you could open at 25% or 50%. They went on spacing. So as long as you can keep people 6 feet apart, you can have X number of tables or whatever that would be. So they know what their capacity is, and they've put together, whether it's a restaurant or it's the museum center or any of those institutions, they've put together their own opening plans based on the amount of space that they have. And so part of this campaign is an education about that, as well as the safety and health measures that have gone into play here to ensure that as much as we can, the safety and health and wellness of the.
Thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Summer Odumas.
I have no comments.
Commissioner Parks.
Only that, of course, we wish you the best. We are all in this together, as you know, and we are only going to recover together. So that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, I applaud your efforts. I think it's on all of us to remind people that many of the restaurants and attractions are open. They're just open in a different way. And as long as we do what we need to do individually, and I've heard Greg Kesterman say this over and over again, you know, if we continue to wear the mask, wash our hands, and distance from one another, we will play our part in making sure that these restaurants can not only open but stay open, as you know, we continue to flatten the curve here in Hamilton County. So that's kind of on all of us, and to allow all of you to do what you're doing and full steam ahead, with the expectation that we continue to see that flat, because we're relatively flat right now. We need to continue to see that trend. So thanks for doing this. I'm personally very excited to see it. It sounds great. And we're, as all three of us know, we're invested in this. So we'll look forward to an update as you roll it out. Let us know what we can do, and we'll be happy to, again, amplify the message to try to bring people back to not only this area downtown, but all, like Brendan said, all over the county. So much going on all over the county. So we'll be happy to help with the effort.
Yeah, Commissioner, I think too that especially as we start to roll towards the cooler weather in Cincinnati, the timing of this campaign is particularly important, because you know you won't have the street traffic and the street service anymore that we were lucky to enjoy, you know, from May, you know, until now. So the timing is particularly important. And you know, I would just like to say thank you to the commission. Thank you to Jeff Aludo, to Bridget, and to Holly for all of their support in getting this off the ground, but particularly to you, the commissioners. Our hospitality industry has never experienced anything like this. And I think that, you know, our industry is so fortunate to have you as leaders that really embrace the industry, that embrace the opportunity that comes with it, and to prioritize this industry. It's 10% of our region's economy is the hospitality industry. It's 80,000 plus jobs, 26 million visitors on a non-COVID year, and one in every 8 jobs is a hospitality job. And it's a $5 billion industry. So, it sustains a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunity. And I know we've all of us together have had lots of discussions over the years about the impact and the importance of it. And other communities don't have the support of their commission like we do. So I just wanted, on behalf of all those employees, to say thank you to you for your leadership and your support. And we certainly will keep you front and center on what we're doing and where we're going with this. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Jeff, is there
Thank
anything
you.
that you would like to add?
Thank you, Madam President. No, nothing significant other than just to say that this, from day one, was a component of the CARES Act program. The only reason for the delay in launching it has nothing to do with the folks bringing this to the table now, but was just waiting for the guidance from the Treasury Department to make sure that this was something we could do. And that guidance that we did receive turns out to be exactly in line with the type of campaign that Anastasia, Julie, and Brendan have rolled out here today, something that speaks directly to those actions being taken to show what has been done to respond to the pandemic, and the fact that people can now come back to these attractions and enjoy a safe experience. So I want to thank Brendan, Anastasia, and Julie for everything that they've done to get this together. They've been working on it for a long time, putting a lot of work into it. And I'm really excited to see what rolls out here. I think it'll have great results for the community. So that's all I have, Commissioner. Thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you all. You're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting or leave if you'd like. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
We'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
All right. We are going to move to the second item on the agenda. It's the United Way COVID-19 Care Coordination. Moira is on. Did I see? Now I don't see her. Is Moira on?
She was on,
Yeah.
and it looks like she had to pop off. This is the beginning of our kickoff of our campaign. And so we're trying to divide and conquer all of our work. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Mike Baker is on the call from the United Way as well.
Great.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for having us today. We're super excited to share with you some of the exciting things that we've been doing. As you very well know, the United Way has had over a 100-year history of mobilizing resources, that's people, talents, that's financial resources, so that we can ensure that there's a strong nonprofit system of care in our community. And we're continuing to do that work. It's hard to believe that I have been here for 6 months, left the county 6 months ago, so a half a year. Miss you guys, miss seeing you. But one of the things that I was specifically hired to do was to engage communities that the United Way has typically not had a relationship with. And so that's the smaller grassroots organizations, that's the non-traditional provider, that's the faith community provider. And so what I am doing is I'm looking into all of those areas where we typically have not shown up. And so the United Way is really trying to show up differently now. We want to engage people where they live, where they work, and where they worship. And so I'm excited about my role because I'm able to keep my finger on the pulse of what's occurring and actually be able to mobilize resources in those communities that have been hit the hardest by COVID. So since the beginning of COVID, the United Way has partnered with Job and Family Services. We've partnered with the Health Department to really help provide those resources for county residents that had unique needs. And this has included getting food delivered to families who had no food in the house, who were quarantined, could not go to the grocery store. Grocery store would not deliver because they did not have a credit card. We were able to step in and provide non-traditional resources and quickly deploy those needs to that household. Another example was finding alternative housing for a woman who was living with her sister but could not appropriately quarantine. Her brother-in-law had sickle cell and she did not want to expose them. We were able to quickly, again, put them in housing. connecting moms who tested positive with translation services, helping connect people to actual resources when they were just not interested or did not meet the criteria for public assistance. So the project that we're going to explain in more detail for you today would really allow us to take this process to scale and to better serve our county residents. And so what I'd like to do now is turn it over to Mike Baker, who's our Community Impact Chief, and he'll explain more specifics about the project, and then I'll be more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have. So thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So, essentially, as the county was making really intentional and really important investments in the testing capacity, and we knew that there was going to be testing of tens of thousands of residents, the question came up of what do we do when those residents have a social service need? And in particular, what do we do if that social service need is exacerbated by testing, either in the need to self-isolate while they wait on results, or if they test positive and need to quarantine. And exactly as Chandra said, we had a few, about a dozen situations where we worked really closely with the county to provide those needs. But as more and more people get tested, we know more and more of those needs were going to become apparent, right? Families that couldn't get out to the grocery store and didn't have food in the house to last the next few days, people that needed to isolate away from families, and just folks who I think were showing up with, some of the typical needs that we're seeing now as people are losing jobs, losing hours, and so on and so forth. And so what we've really focused on is how do we build efficiencies into those systems? You probably know that United Way runs the 211 system. And so 211 is available 24 hours a day. And it's a traditional call and referral line. So if someone calls in, we're going to go into our database, which has an amazing set of data. We're going to pull out the right resources at the right time in the right location for folks. But largely what we're going to do there is we're going to provide you with a place that you can go to for help, right? Another number to call or another place to get connected. And we realize that in a normal time, that's a good service. In a time of COVID, where there may be an additional crisis of a diagnosis added on to what a family might already be going through, we're not sure that it made sense to expect that families would drive their own referral, right? That we could give them another number to call, and that might lead to another number and another number. And so what we are proposing is to build very quickly a closed loop referral system, where essentially we would partner with the Health Collaborative, that as they're conducting testing in the community and they identify county residents with needs, that those county residents would then come into United Way, virtually through the phone, and we'd have care coordinators on staff who would work through a technology system that would directly connect them with agencies to provide those services. So rather than a 211 service where we're saying, okay, we understand you need food, here's the number for the free store, or here's the number for the food pantry in your neighborhood, call them. We would actually be sending referrals out to those organizations and tracking the follow-up for each of those residents. We're looking at primarily focusing on both immediate services and immediate needs. So anybody who's immediately food insecure, needs food in the house today because they can't get out to the grocery because of quarantining or isolation, anybody who needs immediate shelter to isolate away from family members, anyone who has any immediate needs about short-term over-the-counter healthcare needs, like fever-reducing drugs or thermometers, that we would get those resources out to folks within 24 hours through a network of partners, and then also make referrals for more intermediate resources. So longer-term food needs, job retraining, utility and rent assistance, and those longer-term needs. Still emergency needs, but maybe not needing to be addressed in the first 24 hours. So we would work to pull together a network of partners, starting initially with a fairly small number of 10 to 12 partners, have a little bit of flexibility to grow that over the next few weeks as we see needs present, and see how county residents are coming into the program, and that the technology system would allow us to very quickly get those resources out to, or get the referrals out to the organizations and to follow up with the organizations to see, did you accept the referral or not? And if you didn't, how do we get it out to the next agency? And have you provided those services within 24-hour, 48-hour time periods for those immediate needs, and looking closer to like 5 business days for some of those intermediate needs as they come out. We think this is an opportunity to really make sure that those folks who are getting tested who also have a social service need are connected in the most efficient way over the next few months to the resources that are already available in the community.
Great. Thank you, Mike. And I see that Moira is on. Moira, welcome back.
Hey, sorry, I was just doing a quick presentation, but I'm sure Chandra and Mike explained everything to you. So, we're just really excited about this opportunity. I mean, United Way is really trying to engage the community in lots of different ways and making sure that we're bringing lots of different partners in and really meeting the needs that are so dire.
Thank you. So Jeff, I just want to reiterate something just to kind of connect the dots here. So I think the expectation is that as we increase testing through the Test and Protect program being run by the Health Collaborative, which we funded, that we will find that there are people that are testing positive in Hamilton County that have to go into quarantine in short order and may not have the ability to address some of these concerns that are being referenced here. So that's the connection between the Test and Protect program and what we're talking about today. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. We recognized when we put the testing program together that there would be the identification, especially as we were hitting some communities that house very vulnerable populations, that we were going to find individuals that either just have need for services that are exacerbated by COVID-19, and in the most extreme of those cases could involve people having the need to quarantine and inability to access those services. So this was one of those wraparound services that we wanted to ensure was a part of this. I want to thank Holly for working with the United Way to figure out the best way to go about getting these services involved. But I think that now the testing combined with the wraparound services and the contact tracing, we've got a very robust testing program in Hamilton County. We just need to get it fully scaled, ramped up, and executed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually think that this is a very forward-thinking approach to the idea that we think we know we're going to have the need for these kinds of services, which leads me to my last question, which is related to volume. What kind of volume do you think we're going to see here that are in need of this kind of service?
We've been working closely with the Health Collaborative through their early testing sites, and through the first 2 or 3 sites, they've been doing a survey of potential need to help us kind of plan that out. Mm-hmm. And they've seen about 15% of the folks who come through for testing have self-identified as they would need some sort of support in quarantine, in self-isolation, or may already have a need that has been caused by COVID, which is most often related to job loss or loss of wages. So, if we're looking at about 20,000 people to be tested through that program, we're expecting about 3,000. We've built a lot of flexibility into the design of the program to make sure that we can track sort of week by week how many people are being seen for testing, how many are identifying for a need, and then how many are we able to get connected to referral services. But we're scoping at least initially around 3,000 people.
Total. Is that total? Because I don't mean to be disagreeable, but I think we're going to test into the hundreds of thousands, I think, and I hope, right? I mean, we're looking at north of, I don't know what we're looking at, but probably north of 100,000 tests. But I guess this is a matter of degree and, whether or not we can ensure that level of testing, and then that will drive the need for the service that you are providing. Holly, I see you've lit up on the screen.
I wanted to clarify what Mike said is the 20,000 he's probably referring to is the community sites. Health Collaborative is doing both community and healthcare settings. And so I think the assumption is that most of the need may come from the community pop-up sites.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thanks for the clarity. Commissioners, questions and comments? You are muted, Commissioner Summer-Dumas. There we go.
What I was thinking also, that everybody is not going to need wraparound services, which is really nothing new as it relates to mental health and social services, but it is certainly new as it relates to United Way and the COVID situation. So to be able to do a wraparound services, I'm not surprised that Maura came up with this concept, being a social worker. I thank you guys for your presentation, and I think it's much needed. And also, Chandra, yes, I do miss you, and congratulations on your new position and the forethought of Maura to think about focusing you on that particular area that has not been impacted before. So it's a win-win for everybody. So I certainly appreciate it, and it's much needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes, thank you. The wraparound services are just really needed. You guys are going to touch people where they are and be able to give them what they need. So thank you for all of your good work.
Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you all for coming on and providing this information to us. We really appreciate it. Super.
I just wanted to say I do miss Maura also. Keep up the great work, guys. Yeah.
Okay. It's nice that we still have a relationship and we're working together. So that's great.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. Nice
All right. Thank you all. Thanks for being on.
And Madam President, if I could just real quickly, from a process perspective here, we're still working through some final contractual details. We hope if everything works out right, that we would have something by leave for the board on this project on Thursday, at the latest next week. But I just wanted to prepare the board for that potential by leave on Thursday.
Very good. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you all. You also are welcome to stay, but don't feel obligated. All right. Item number 3 is a discussion. This is related to a resolution to declare Juneteenth a county holiday. Commissioner Parks.
Thank you, Madam President. I am excited to talk about this and thrilled to be able to introduce Mr. Christopher Miller, who is the Director of Education and Community Engagement from the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, who will provide us with the history of Juneteenth and the way that it affects us. So welcome, Chris, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Commissioner Parks. Welcome, everyone. Can all of you hear me just fine?
Yes.
Okay, outstanding.
Look at that beard, man.
Yes, it's coming in. I'm getting ready for Christmas. So do a little bit of Santa Claus. Thank you for the opportunity to address everyone. And so what was asked of me to provide a little bit of historical context and significance when we talk about Juneteenth. Please know that Juneteenth symbolizes the end of chattel slavery in America. It serves as a historical milestone, reminding Americans of the triumph of the human spirit over the systemic injustice of enslavement. With that being said, I'm sorry.
Got a soundtrack behind you?
No, there was someone that was calling me that I didn't have my phone on mute. I apologize for that.
Don't worry.
But Juneteenth honors those ancestors who endured the institution of slavery, as well as demonstrating pride in the great legacy of courage, resistance, and perseverance, a legacy they left behind for us. And so often we talk about how do we honor the end of slavery. And so I'm going to quickly just give you a series of events. Some of this might be old information, some of it might be new. And so we understand that there was a civil war between two countries, the Confederate States of America and the United States of America. Two different forms of government that formed, 2 presidents, 2 constitutions, things of that nature. And Cincinnati played a very significant role in this war. In 1862, you had the tribulations of many African Americans, such as Robert Smalls in May of 1862, who stole a Confederate ship and returned it to the Union forces. And then you had what happened here in Cincinnati with the Black Brigade of Cincinnati in September of 1860, protecting Cincinnati, which was the 6th largest city in the country during that time period. They went over into northern Kentucky to do what is called fatigue duty, to protect, to build forts and a foundation to protect the city from being seized from Confederate troops. And in that same month, Abraham Lincoln, on this very day, if you're not aware, announces the Emancipation Proclamation. In fact, Ohio it is documented that Ohio actually, this is Ohio's Emancipation Day, September 22nd. And so it's fitting to have this conversation on this day, actually, but it's an announcement. It was not signed. And so it was announced on September 22nd of 1862. It would not get signed until January 1st of 1863. The most significant part about the Emancipation Proclamation is that it provided access and opportunities for Black Americans to serve in Union forces. We often talk about that the document is mythically said that it freed those who were enslaved. The accuracy of it is that it freed those who were in the rebel states, meaning those states that were in the Confederacy. Those slave states that were still part of the Union, like the Commonwealth of Kentucky, could still operate as a slave state under the decree of the Emancipation Proclamation. So it was just a part of, it was a political maneuver to bring about progress in the way that would benefit the Union. And so you still had the war that would go on to exist until it concluded in April of 1865, followed by the assassination of President Lincoln. And then you had Union troops going throughout the country, notifying the end of the war and emancipation to those who were enslaved. Keeping in mind that slaveholders moved throughout the state of Texas, looting these Union soldiers to hold on to their property, the men, women, and children that they were enslaving. It wasn't until they reached Galveston, Texas, the last of the American enslaved, that they read General Order Number 3 and announced this decree. And there was a celebration which occurred on June 19th of 1865. This celebration spread throughout the state. It bled into other states. And now there is a campaign for it to be a national holiday. There is not a particular day, milestone day, to actually celebrate the end of chattel slavery, and Juneteenth can holds that significance, not only for the state of Texas, but nationally as a day to commemorate the end of chattel slavery in America. And so I just wanted to provide the context of Juneteenth and its legacy of freedom and its significance.
Mm-hmm. So, Christopher, thank you so much. I appreciate your input and the information and education pertaining to this. So, with that, with the resolution, and this is a draft, I am only introducing it today. Hopefully, we'll be able to vote on it on Thursday. But with that, whereas the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners and Hamilton County Department of Human Resources recognizes the significance of Juneteenth to our country, county, and our community, and now therefore be it resolved that going forward annually, June 19th is hereby declared a paid holiday for Board of Commission employees, and be it further resolved that June 19th is officially declared a paid holiday for the Hamilton County Board of Commissioner employees beginning June 19th, 2021. That is what I am proposing. So thank you if there are any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Parks. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you. Thank you for the educational component of all of that for everyone to hear and understand, Mr. Miller. Of course, I'm in agreement with that, and I've always thought that something that important should be recognized as a holiday, so I'm certainly in agreement with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks, I had a question I asked Jeff Aludo earlier, just to help us level set how many paid holidays we have in Hamilton County, how technically procedurally, I guess, how this kind of thing takes place. And so I've asked him for that information, just so that you know, anticipating that we'll vote on this in short order. So I'll ask, maybe he can give us the information on Thursday. Did you say you hope to introduce it by leave on Thursday?
I want to, not by leave, and it's the item for vote.
Right, but it's not already on the calendar, is it?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. Yeah. So
Okay. So by leave.
Yeah. Thank you.
We can still put it on the calendar now. It doesn't have to be a by leave. I think it should be on the agenda.
No, Jackie, help us clarify. I think at this point it would have to be a by leave, but we could vote. We always vote on by.
What did you say, Jackie?
Yes, ma'am. The agenda has already been closed. Everything's been numbered and ready to go. If you guys would really prefer, you could vote on it today, if that makes it easier. But because the agenda is kind of already informed as to what we're gonna take up on Thursday, need all of the late items come as by leave. I understand the importance of it. I do.
Sure. I don't think that by leave reduces the significance of it. We do this all the time.
Yeah, we do it all the time. So okay. Well, very good. Well, we'll look forward to getting it. Victoria, Commissioner Parks, could you get that to us?
Yeah, I was going to say, I know we do it all the time. I just by leave means that it was something that was forgotten and we added on, and I think it was more so, it's so well thought out. I just didn't. And you were saying we could vote on it today. Jackie was saying, and we've reviewed it unless there's an issue. Commissioner Park, would you want to vote on it today?
I'd rather vote on Thursday during the board meeting.
Okay.
We'll look forward to that. Yeah, if you could just shoot that around via email.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Christopher.
Yeah, thanks for Christopher Miller for being here. Appreciate it.
Now you're welcome to stay.
I have a couple of meetings to attend. I will let all of you getting with your business of the day, but thank you for the opportunity, and come down and visit us at the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center.
Well, hey, no, before you go, so tell us what your hours are for those that are watching.
Oh, absolutely. We are open 12 to 5, Wednesday through Sunday. 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Wednesday through Sunday. And we are practicing social distancing and our cleaning measures throughout the institution. So we welcome people to purchase their tickets in advance, which you can do online through our website.
I assume masks are required?
Yes, masks are required. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for that PSA for the end.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Victoria.
Thank you.
All right. Next, item number 4, a resolution regarding Cincinnati Police Department gun range in Lincoln Heights. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. As you know, as the board knows, and the residents that have been listening and staff, that we have been working very hard in our office to come up with a resolution that would be something that the entire board could agree on, not only the concept, but the resolution itself, and also in the process to get as much support as possible as it relates to this resolution. Support was not very hard. My chief of staff, Bishop Hilton, has been going around to just ask about support, and when they, even before they saw the resolution, are in much agreement that something needs to happen with the gun range. And I am deeply humbled and honored for a time such as this to bring this resolution forward It is a draft. It is for hopefully to be voted on Thursday. And it is a resolution that will change history. And the resolution is a resolution to join the city of Cincinnati, surrounding communities, and other stakeholders in prioritizing the closing of the Cincinnati Police gun range. The resolution itself talks about the history of the gun range, which, as many people know, is over 70 years has been a part of Lincoln Heights. The resolution talks about the impact that it has had on the community, the children, the economic development. And the city of Cincinnati, I would like to say, is very much adamant about the closure of the gun range and in the process of looking at alternative placements. And I also want to emphasize that Mayor Ruby Mumphrey Kinsey of, I should say Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey of the Village of Lincoln Heights, and also Brian Poole, the mayor of Woodlawn, and Richard Finan, the mayor of Evendale, are also very supportive. They are located right around that same area. So I plan on bringing this forward to the commission on Thursday, and hopefully if there are no concerns or if you look at it and you want something different, but we have passed it through different all the offices, and we're hoping that we can get closure on Thursday, and it will be a point in history that I think everyone will be excited about. And that's all I have right now, Madam President, unless some questions or comments.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks to you and to Bishop Hilton for letting us see this in advance. I know we did have some response and some changes were made, but very minor, because I think we're all supportive of this effort to respond to what we know is going on in Woodlawn and Lincoln Heights and Evendale, and that is they don't want that gun range out there because of I don't think it's hyperbole to say that there are traumatic consequences from having that in this community so near residential properties, especially playgrounds where kids are playing outside. So I had the opportunity to go out there with the mayor, Mumphrey, and tour not only the facility itself, but the neighborhood, to try to listen to how loud it is, and it's loud. So totally 100% on board. I do want to say that just by way of information, that Jan Michelle Kearney, I believe, is going to ask the Law and Public Safety Committee of the city to host a public hearing out in the community. And I do not know whether it'll be Woodlawn, Lincoln Heights, or Evendale, to gather, information, to hear from residents, I think to also talk about some of the negative health consequences, particularly to kids in that area. And hope that because the jurisdiction for the issue lies with the Public Safety Committee, she thought that would be the most appropriate vehicle to have that public hearing. And so I do not know if I just texted her to see if that's been scheduled yet. But I did tell her that we have a great deal of interest in this. The three of us have spoken about this, and we want to make sure that we're aware of when that public hearing takes place, so we too can listen in and listen to the residents. So she has
we're waiting on that date also, and I know Bishop Hilton will be involved as we look at alternatives. He's been invited to be included in that process. So you say, Madam President, our focus is the closure. Yeah, if we can get a alternative quickly, that would be great.
Well, and the sheriff has a gun range out in Colerain Township, and so I have offered that maybe just as an idea, we look at maybe a consolidated effort here, where the county and the city, and perhaps the federal government, because there is a need there as well, join forces. And if we need to expand that facility, then it would be a joint cost. And my understanding, having talked to Sherrod Brown's office, is that there might be some federal dollars available for that. I've talked to the administrator in Colerain, who is open to the idea, as is the sheriff. So I do think there are some options, legitimate options, that we can offer by way of partnership as the county to help with the quandary quandary of where do they go, right? If they leave the civil or the facility where they are now. But I think there are some real options here, and I am personally trying to be a partner in this, and I know the two of you are also to try to move the ball forward here. So this has been going on, Commissioner, as you said, for decades, and I think it's high time that we listen to the residents and get that thing moved. So, Commissioner Parks.
Yes, I am definitely on board for this. And I have been out there, and matter of fact, I remember when I used to go to Johnson's skating rink in Lincoln Heights on Friday evenings. We could hear the gun sounds then, the gunshots. And if you go out there now, it's because I am a veteran, it sounds like a war zone in Lincoln Heights. And so, Commissioner Sumra Dumas, I want to talk about this part where it says that we believe the sounds from the gun is having a negative impact. There's got to be some statistics. I'm not a doctor. I haven't even played one on TV. But I will say that the sounds, I don't have to believe it. It's got to be true. It has a negative impact because it has a negative impact on me. So, and you probably put it there, in lieu of statistics and that kind of thing. But I don't know anybody that listens to gunshots all the time. That's what PTSD is about. One of the triggers, one of the things that causes that. So I would like to see a stronger statement there, talking about the effect that it has on the children. Can you imagine being born in Lincoln Heights, as an infant? That's what you're listening to as you go to sleep and try to go to school and try to learn. It needs to stop, and it needs to stop right now.
Well, you actually said it exactly, Commissioner Parks, that, when we say we believe it's had a traumatic effect, we know it, but unless you have some statistics, a footnote to that, you don't want to say it has, but common sense and everything else, just living around that, it indicates that. I can remember leaving one night as village manager, and I remember the sound was so loud. And then I remember thinking, well, I get to go home. I get to go to Forest Park. But this is like Labor Day, all day, every day. So it's like I almost had a tear thinking I'm able to get away from this. What about the people that are not? So you're absolutely right. Lacking some statistics, but I'm sure there's some there. I know the superintendent of Princeton has some information as it relates to statistics, and we're looking into that also. But you're right. We know there has been damage that's been done.
What if we look to the VA and just get, what happens to somebody that listens to gunfire all the time?
Right. And there are plenty of articles out there about it. I mean, it may not be specific to Lincoln Heights, but I've been reading up on it. So, and I think that's why, and I wanted to mention too, Madam President, we have a long list of supporters. And as I was saying, it wasn't hard to get them because they realize the reality of dealing with something like that every day.
Yeah, I think Jan Michelle has partnered, I believe it's with UC, to do the research that you're both referring to specific to Lincoln Heights and the community. And I think the public hearing will be an opportunity to offer that information to, provide that this is having a negative health effect on the kids in these communities. And so I want to say it's UC, I don't remember specifically, but I do think that information will be coming forward.
Yeah, and I just don't want it to delay the movement of this process, because we know for 73 years shooting lead in the ground and in the air, and as we said, the trauma, we know that this is an issue that needs to be resolved quickly. It's very good to get some statistics, but I don't want it to delay the process of closing that facility.
No, indeed, I think that it'll help hopefully spur activity.
Absolutely.
And just a reminder to those that are listening, it is the city's gun range that we're talking about, not the counties. And so we've got limited authority here, but are responding to the constituents in the county that have to listen to this day in, day out, and trying to, again, to partner with the city to get this thing closed. And as you, Commissioner, do you intend to bring the, I don't know if this is on the agenda already or if this too will be a by leave item?
I plan on bringing it in Thursday as a by leave, yeah.
By leave, okay, so these.
And Senator Brown indicated that when he was here earlier during the year before all the, and it was introduced to him, this issue that is #1 on his priority list, which I texted him last night to kind of let him know the flow of what's going on.
Very good. Okay. All right. Well, we will look forward to seeing that. And do we have the final, Commissioner? Do we have the final resolution? Has it been emailed around?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Thank you. Very good. If there's nothing else on that item, we will move. The last thing we have in the exec session, Commissioners, is there anything else for public comment or Jeff? Do we have anything else we need to discuss?
Nothing else on the agenda other than the executive session, Madam President.
Okay.
I have nothing.
I have something.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yes. I want to remember Chief Justice, the notorious RBG. The fact that we are 3 women commissioners. We have bought property, we have credit cards, we've been to school. It's because of her tenacity and her fight. And I just want to honor her. I just want to bring that up.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got, I don't know if you, can you see
Oh,
that?
yeah. Oh, yeah, look at that.
I saw that, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Where'd you get that?
Yes.
You know what? My daughter asked me that and I can't remember, but I got it online. So anyway, it's RBG. Yeah, my daughter and my son are both wearing them with pride. So yeah, and we'll dedicate a moment of silence on Thursday.
Sure.
Okay.
And our flags are at half mast also.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for reminding. All right. With that, I'm going to move that we go into executive session pursuant to RC Section 121.22G4 to conduct or review negotiations or bargaining sessions concerning employee compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.